That's another thing. You know, something makes you say, yeah. You could have done.
All right, good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the October meeting of the LCTCS Board of Supervisors. Thank you for joining us. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that the board meeting is being live streamed and audio is being connected by the owls in front of you. So please speak loudly to make sure that the owls pick up the audio. With that, I will turn to Chair Hardy.
Good morning. All right, morning. At this time, I'd like to call the October 8th, 2025 LCTCS Board Supervisors meeting to order. I'd like to begin by requesting that Supervisor Hogan lead us in the pledge.
Flag. Thank the America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I request roll call. Ms. Booth.
Yes, sir, would be happy to do roll call. Chair Hardy
Here.
is present. Supervisor Smith
Here.
is present. Supervisor Burt is absent. Supervisor Butler McIntyre
I'm here.
is present. Supervisor Paul is absent. Supervisor Hogan
Here.
is present. Supervisor Collins is absent. Supervisor Johnson is absent. Supervisor Lee
Present.
is present. Supervisor McConjoy
Present.
is present. Supervisor Moody
Here.
is present. Supervisor Mount is absent. Supervisor Price
Here.
is present. Supervisor Beltran is present. Supervisor Williams is absent. And at this time, Chair Hardy, we do have a quorum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, I ask if there has been any request for public comment related to one of the enumerated agenda items on today's meeting agenda. This is a reminder that public comment must be related to the specific agenda item.
At this time, Chair Hardy, we do not have public comment.
Thank you.
And I would also like to note at this moment that Supervisor Collins has arrived.
Okay, thank you. And we'll take something up. Okay, we're starting. At this time, I request a motion to approve the October 8th, 2025 meeting agenda.
Yes, sir. Supervisor Hogan, motion by Supervisor Hogan, seconded by Supervisor McConaughey.
Moved and seconded. Were there objections? Hearing none, motion carries. This time, I request a motion to approve the August 13th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Motion by Supervisor Butler McIntyre, seconded by Supervisor Lee.
Been moved and seconded. Are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries. This time I present consent agenda items for consideration by the board.
Here, staff recommends that the board approve the consent agenda, which consists of agenda items G1 through G8.
We have a motion.
You got a motion?
Motion by Supervisor Beltran, seconded by Supervisor Hall.
Moved and seconded. Are there objections? Hearing none, that motion carries. At this time, I will provide the chair report. In keeping with the public meeting laws of the state, there is a public comment period on the agenda at the end of today's meeting. And it's on behalf of the LCTCS Facilities Corporation regarding the River Parishes Community College Duncanville Training Center. If you wish to make comments to the board, please fill out a comment card and turn it in to Ms. Poole, the board coordinator. At this time, I'd like to just make some brief comments on our recent LCTCS conference in New Orleans. Let me just say our second conference was absolutely outstanding. It was clockwork. I even got people to escort me to my room. I don't know what that level of effort. It was absolutely well organized, and I've got to say, Ms. Bohannon, I don't know who was responsible for getting her as the speaker, but she had me moved to tears. I feel like she helped make me even a better person. That was outstanding, her presentation. But what always moves me at our meetings are testimonials by the students. That's why we do what we do. And I've got to tell you, Supervisor, you really touched me. So that was absolutely awesome. The attendance and again, the accommodations at the hotel were very, very well. even when you're feeding that many people and it moves along like clockwork, that's really special. I didn't even have to cut line there. So, other comments about those that attended the conference? Supervisor Hogan.
Well, I would say this is the first one I attended, but I was blown away. In my career, have been to many national conferences. And I would say this is exceeded even those that I attended. I was blown away by the testimony. So just by the way it was organized, I mean, it went without a hitch. So kudos to the team. It's incredible. Very impressive.
And I'd like to congratulate the team as well. You know, you don't see all those things happening, you know, behind the scenes. I've got to say, Katie was calling me, making sure I was where I was supposed to be. She didn't see me there one time. Not only that, she was calling my sister in the back room, telling her to make sure I was where I was supposed to be. So thank you so much for all you do. Others?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to also echo, about the speaker. I had the opportunity, of course, to, introduce her. And so, probably like me, I had to Google her before I, introduced her because I was just wondering, who is this? And she mesmerized, I think, the whole audience. Her theme of connectivity really resonated with me because I think that's what we try to do is connect our students with all of their dreams and hopes and aspirations and present to them what their futures can be and how their dreams can come true. So I think they set, like we said, looking at everything that she presented to us and how we too can still have our dreams come true, even at this point in our lives. So again, kudos to all who were responsible for bringing her forth and giving me the opportunity to introduce her. I think I found a new friend. So thanks for your planning and then the opportunity to give me a part in participating. So thanks for your hard work to the planning team.
Thanks. And let me just say, Supervisor Brother McIntyre, you did a great job in the introduction in front of your home folks down.
Yeah,
That was great.
yeah. New Orleans.
Yes. For y'all that couldn't tell when you heard her talk, right? At this time, I'd like to announce that Supervisor Stan Salat has submitted his resignation from LCTCS Board of Supervisors effective on September 20th. I want to thank him for all of his years on the board and wish him well in the future endeavors. He was a wonderful board member. At this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Sullivan for the president's report.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to begin this morning with just an amen, if I can, to both of the comments and all of the comments that we've heard about conference. But you know, sometimes you have to pause for a second and recognize some folks behind the scenes. Today happens to be a birthday of someone very important to this family, and that is Katie Walker. So many things that happen in this organization that just happen. And it's largely because of the work that Katie does behind the scenes. Just want to give a big shout out to her for being such an important part of our organization. All right, we have just an awesome lineup here of friends and partners. I want to begin with our partners from Hyundai and River Parishes and ask Chancellor Quentin Taylor, if he will, to bring the team to the table and talk a little bit about the specifics of where we are with the continuing work to ensure that we are able to meet the workforce demands of our colleagues from Hyundai. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you. It's good to see you again and good to have you with our board. And Chancellor Taylor, I'll turn to you. Yeah.
Good morning, Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, members of the board. Really excited to be here today to give an overview of where we are with our partners from Hyundai Steel and this transformative project that is happening in Ascension Parish, specifically in Donaldsonville. So joining me today at the table is Mr. Charles Jang. Charles is the president of Hyundai Steel Louisiana. Welcome, Charles. D.H. Kim, to my left right here, is the senior HR manager for Hyundai Steel Louisiana. And Ho Jun Park is the senior manager of governmental and public affairs for Hyundai Steel. So the last time I sat before this group, I think it was back in April. And at that time I said, we had a lot of work to do. And we still do have a lot of work to do. But the good news is we have made tremendous progress. And that progress is due to, quite frankly, collaboration. And just people getting sitting around the table and figuring things out. Because when folks say, just do what you've always done, or just do what another steel manufacturing plant has done. Truth of the matter is, it doesn't exist, right? What we're doing in Donaldsonville, Louisiana, of all places, is the first of its kind. Not in Louisiana, not in the United States, but the world. With that, it'll take us some time to get there, but the logos you see on the screen represent a true collaboration between our partner at Hyundai Steel, our partner at LED, the system, staff, and Dr. Sullivan and this board.
Yes, since we don't have a mic, would you speak up? This is good stuff.
Okay.
And I don't want any of this missed.
Absolutely, I'm sorry. So Hyundai Steel, LED, the community college system, this board, the chair, Dr. Sullivan, and their full support, and the staff, and then the team at River Parishes Community College. And I will give them their kudos here in a second, because none of this could have happened without their hard work and dedication. So let's, at a high level overview of the project, $5.8 billion low carbon steel facility, 4,500 indirect construction jobs, 1,400 permanent full-time jobs, and that fourth bullet, which is probably my favorite of all for that community specifically, an average salary of $95,000. $30 billion training facility, and we are together illuminating the future through carbon reality, right? And so this is the world's first low to zero carbon steel plant that that Hyundai is gonna build, and we're gonna train the workforce to operate, to build the facility and to operate the facility in perpetuity. So what does this look like? We know that River Parishes Community College cannot be successful, or this project cannot be successful without partners. And so what you see on the screen are our education and training partners, and that's obviously RPCC is the lead, North Shore Technical Community College, South Louisiana Community College, Delgado Community College, specifically their River City campus, Texas Technical Community College, and Baton Rouge Community College. So, education and training, let's talk about what that looks like. And so there are multiple ways, or multiple pathways to employment. In our early discussions, what we talked about with Hyundai was, for a number of different reasons, we didn't want to necessarily create a brand new program, because we don't want to pigeonhole students into one specific industry, right? We know that Hyundai is a big part of what we're going to do in this field, but we're not steel experts yet, right? We still have to prepare students for our legacy industries. And so how do we strike a balance of legacy industries and new industries coming online, specifically Hyundai Steel? And so that pathway to employment will include a 2-year associate degree, dual enrollment to our high school partners, level 1 certification, and then pre and post hire training. Credit programs of entry include process technology, industrial maintenance, electrical, and instrumentation. Why is that important? Those are programs that the 6 of those institutions that you see here, we all offer those programs in some form or another. This is, at a very high level, the pathway for the associate's degree training that individuals will have the opportunity to enter into at one of the 6 institutions that are part of the higher level training plan. Students, again, across those programs I mentioned on the previous slide, can enter in year 1, either millwright, instrumentation, electrical, or process technology. The beauty of this is, if for some reason a student decides, well, you know what, I don't think I want to go into the steel industry. Well, they've started a program that they can finish in that program that they started and earn the associate's degree there. Or at the end of that first year, they can earn what we call a CTS, that we believe makes them marketable to go out and get a job, should they stop at the end of year one. Or students across those 6 institutions, or the 5 specifically in this example, will then transfer to RPCC at the Donaldsonville Training Center that we're currently in the process of designing. And then they will enter into the 3rd semester to begin to focus on skill-specific training toward the technical diploma. At the end of the 3rd semester, students will then have the opportunity to decide to go into the electrical maintenance pathway, the mechanical maintenance pathway, or the advanced manufacturing pathway. At that exit point, they earn the associate's degree. Are there any questions about what that looks like at this point? Okay.
Chancellor, if I may, I just want to point out to the board, very few places around the country would you see 6 institutions all headed in the same direction, all trying to accomplish the same goal for a group of employers. 6 institutions. That is the nature of systemness that we've been able to leverage to help bring about the population needed to fill 1,400 jobs and to be able to manage through whatever turnover you have when the time comes. I couldn't let that pass. 6 institutions all headed in the same direction. That's leadership by these chancellors.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point, Dr. Sullivan. And my apologies, I should have given my colleagues at Hyundai still an opportunity to say a few words at the top of this presentation. So I want to offer that opportunity now if you'd like, or we can do it at the end. What's your pleasure? We can do that. Okay. What's also important to note is that we sat at the table with Hyundai Steel, well, at the table and on Zoom calls with DH Kim and the folks over in Korea for the last 6 or 7 months, every Wednesday night, 3 to 4 hours at a time to get to this point. And so a lot of work and effort has gone into this, but I also think it's really important for this board, other folks listening, that these are just words on a piece of paper. Right? Now the real work begins to develop the curriculum specifically in year 2. We have year 1 because we do that every day. Now we've got to go out and now begin to build a curriculum, program design, hire instructors, have specialization in these areas. We're going to do it, but it's going to require some intentionality. It's going to require us to recruit the very best from around the country to come in and help us complete this work. So really, really excited about what that's going to look like. So this is the 2-year associate degree pathway. I don't have a slide on the others, but I'll just talk through it at a high level. Dual enrollment will essentially follow that same pathway here, but we will start in the 11th grade. We believe, right? We believe that students in 11th and 12th grade should be able, or 11th through 12th grade, should be able to complete this year 1 over a 2-year period in high school, in which they will then transfer into RPCC at the Donaldsonville Training Center site. So, the level 1 certification, this is really, really important. When we think about the 1.1 million Louisianians, and I don't know the number off the top of my head for our region, but that's statewide, who have some college but no credential, right? I'm back up, I'm sorry. A high school diploma or less is the 1.1 million number. Some of those folks don't have the luxury or the time to come into the associate degree program. I was really impressed when Hyundai said to us, we've got to find a way to make sure that we get folks in the door who don't have the desire or the luxury to want to pursue an associate's degree. So this level 1 certification is an 8-week program that is yet to be built, that anyone can come to RPCC, earn the 8-week certification, and Hyundai has committed to hiring them to come in and work at a level 1 helper level job, but that they've assured us that it will be a good paying hourly job that's going to be very helpful for the economy and the folks in that community, again, who don't want to do the 2-year associate's degree route. I think that's really important. And kudos to them for thinking of that population as we move forward. And then the last piece is the pre and post-hire training that is also yet to be built, but we're going to work together. We're looking at a 30, 60, or 90-day post-hire training. The 30-day is the example of the young lady who's working at Shell today, who's got 12 years of experience that can come in and then we will teach them the still specifics and the Hyundai way that she can then come in and work 60-day, maybe less experience, and the 90-day ideally is the person who would earn that associate's degree and come on board that they would hire, and then they go through a 3-month training program. This is a conceptual rendering of the facility. Really, really excited. I gotta give our partners at CSRS and Domain Architecture a shout out for sitting with us during those calls and helping us to design what we believe is what we know will be a world-class, state-of-the-art training facility that will be the anchor for all the things that's getting ready to happen in Donaldsonville. And again, this board, our partners, this institution is leading this work. Super, super proud of what's happening. Later on today, CSRS will give a high-level overview to show you the floor plan and what that all looks like. Last thing I'll say is this, to the team who helped us build this, Paul Donaldson, Donovan Thompson, Margaret McMichael, Misty Slater, I think I saw Misty somewhere, EJ Bertucci and their team, just tremendous job of sacrificing their evenings with their families to get us to this point. So thank you so much. And Charles, I'll give you an opportunity to.
It's great honor and I'm thrilled to introduce Hyundai State Louisiana just in front of honorable LCTCS board member. Special thanks to the President Sullivan and Chairman Hardy from them. We're doing lots of discussion. It took more than a year, I felt like, but for us, and what we achieved, always we saying that we started from this big gap. We almost got in here right before we said, with our palms, and then we're gonna make it possible for the students, not only high school students, but the RPCP students can have a chance to work together with Hyundai State. Because our construction plan is start groundbreaking next year, 2026, second quarter. We want to finish construction at 2029. At that time, we need around 13 up to 1,400 employees, which we need from Louisiana. If we can have a chance, we got employed from 30-minute driving distance or 1 hour distance, is much better for us. For that, we need let the high school students or the graduate students, undergraduate students need to prepare their career and education, which is good. And we can start working the first day when we open our factories in here. So that's the reason we keep talking with the RPCC, also talk with other North Shore and all the other around community college around us. But without the support from LCTCS, we cannot make it possible. We cannot hire just 100 person, 1,000 person from locally without any education background, which is necessary for our Hyundai Steel regional steel mills. This is our desire, our dream, and we will make it happen after 3 years when there's a support from LCTCS. Thank you. Details maybe Jude will add up.
So I'd like to say one thing is that when you work with RCC, our focus was not on focusing on the steel side, but in a broader way so that every student can get an associate degree and can apply for every job in their field. So we don't want to limit their career path to only the steel making. So that's what we are trying to do in curriculum, designing the curriculum with RCC.
I'm PhD. I have been working with LCTCS and RPCC in the Korea, and I just came here last month 29. Yeah, so it is very happy to hear that I have been working with RPCC you know, to reach my best, to my best. Okay. Thank you.
So they've done a tremendous job. So DH has been in Louisiana now for 2 weeks, right? I think June and Charles, maybe 2 months, 3 months, 2 months or so. But their commitment to want to hire local people, right? So I get asked all the time, what can we do to help? We need for this community and this state to understand that the goal is to hire local people. There is no plan to bring in people from outside of Louisiana. Now, that plan might come to fruition if we don't get our people trained and their butts in the seats to get the jobs. Right, so we're gonna do everything we can do, right? I'm asking that our colleagues do everything that you can do to make sure that our local people understand that the opportunity is here and it is legit. Now we gotta make sure that we get in the classes to earn the credential, to earn the job, to change the trajectory of families and everything. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions from the board.
I'd just like to make a quick comment. First of all, thanks. I think you hear the governor talks about a $70 billion in CapEx, right? But listen, I might be speaking out of school a little bit, but this is one of the sweet spots. He's very excited about the 9 days. But let me also say this. This demonstrates our nimbleness, right, to pivot, to accommodate your need. Dual enrollment, what we talk about, an opportunity for that. Not only just the training needs, when you're talking about skills that are developed beyond just steel making, so those things happen for life, for individuals. But even in addition to all of that, you change the nature of a whole region. Employment, but also role models. What you do, aspirations of people, families. So I just want to tell you, we can't thank you enough for your commitment. Chancellor Taylor, the hours you have spent working with the Hyundai representatives and access, you heard what was talked about to the board members and everyone in the audience. We have to play a role in letting people understand what the opportunities are and where they are. And we look to do that. Thank you so much. Others? Sure.
Good morning, congratulations, this is amazing. And thank you, I only echo what you've heard from the chairman, but I did have one question. First of all, let me say, I love the intentionality to make sure that every part of the community can participate in this project, from high school to undergraduate to those who can only do the 8-week course. My question is about the second year, the year 2, because they go, you know, they have to come into RPCC, right, at that moment. And I love the collaboration between all the other community colleges. I guess my question is though, as you approach developing the curriculum there, if they're gonna be coming from these other places and they have to come into your campus, any thought around how you would structure the curriculum such that we know there will likely be commuter students, anything to kind of buttress that aspect of it?
So a couple of things. Our goal is as much of this that we can do virtually,
Okay,
we will,
perfect.
right? But to your point, there's gonna come a time when they have to be hands-on and on-site. And so there's a group called T3 that is operated by, I'm blanking on his first name, LSU baseball legend, last name Terrio. I can't think of Brian Terrio. So that's what this company does, right? This company right now, they provide transportation to eliminate congestion on the streets of the Central Parish. We're in conversation with them to have those same buses, potentially have a meetup spot somewhere near the Acadiana area, somewhere in the Gulf Shore, somewhere towards east at Delgado or maybe south of Fletcher, that we can try to, basically a bus stop. You meet here, you get on the bus, bring it to campus, take it back.
Very helpful.
So that's part of what we're gonna try to establish for the transportation barrier that is very, very real.
I appreciate that.
Yes, Chair.
One quick point that I think is important for the Lafayette region in particular. Expect that we will see much development, and it's part of the discussions that we've had with Hyundai from the very beginning, to expand transportation access from the Highway 415 exit, which is the second exit across the river, southward to Donaldsonville. So whereas today, a trip from Lafayette to Donaldsonville will take you, that's a pretty good hike. Tomorrow, it will be more like 30 to 45 minutes. So it becomes a more reasonable kind of approach when you're thinking about commuting to work there.
Right, I love the
And,
reading.
and to that point, that there's also expansion of highways coming out of New Orleans as well. Coming to the southern loop to cut down the drive time.
Awesome, thank you.
There are other questions or comments? Well, again, thank you all so very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys, I think the
What it mentions that, you know, supervisor about it.
next, I'd like to bring forward, and Chancellor Taylor, don't sit down too quickly there. We're gonna want you to join us at the table here in a moment. Chancellor June and Chancellor Taylor have both been invited to participate in a national effort that deals with apprenticeship, something that certainly could be part and parcel of what we just talked about here. But what a great opportunity for these two colleges in Solis CC and River Parish Community College to be very intentional and purposeful about apprenticeship. And so with that, Chancellor June, I'll begin with you.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Good morning, and good morning, members of the board. Like the Chancellor Taylor, it's a great day to be an owl at South Louisiana Community College for a number of reasons that I just simply don't have time to talk about. However, I was focusing on what I feel asked to focus on, and South Louisiana Community College, as well as River Parish Community, we can selected as one of 10 institutions nationally to participate in what they are referring to as a new healthcare apprenticeship initiative. It is supported by the American Community College Trustees, ACCT. It is a 5-year initiative, grant supported also by Ascendium Group, as well as New America and Job Forward. We're excited because it allows the college to create a long-term apprenticeship pathway in areas that are uncommon to healthcare. So in this particular instance, South Louisiana Community College will be scaling and developing a pathway program, apprenticeship program in sterile processing, as well as EMT. The seed money will be utilized in the following ways. First, we will be developing occupational standards that meet employer and industry requirements. Secondly, my team will be identifying key jobs and roles and sectors where the apprenticeship can have the most impact. And then thirdly, the initiative will focus on researching critical skills and competencies to ensure that the program achieves the highest level of rigor and relevance. Our partners in this particular initiative includes the National EMS Academy, as well as our wonderful partners with Ashna Health. Where we are now is that the team will be traveling to Washington, DC in November to participate in a national apprenticeship workshop, a design workshop. Essentially, that session will allow them to be able to begin that conversation and laying out very key programmatic landscaping around the framework as well as the program themselves. It will also allow the college to basically launch a very scalable and very high quality type of apprenticeship where other institutions across the country will be able to just simply borrow from that model. So we're very excited about it. I know Chancellor Taylor is as well, because it allows us to take the lead on some things instead of us following other institutions across the country. I certainly can't take credit for this. Dr. Tiffany Howard, with our interim vice president for economic workforce development, my dean of nursing allied health, Dr. Carrie Diatley, have spearheaded this, and it aligns very well with our strategic plan in terms of continuing to escalate our footprint in the workforce space.
And then so our programs, I echo, we're gonna be focused on industrial maintenance, 3D scanning, and reverse manufacturing. but following the same blueprint that, Chancellor Jones just laid out. So we're excited, and I think our teams traveled together to
Yes.
DC, sometime in November for their opportunity.
And the other thing I want to mention, that I covered, the point of privilege with this particular issue, we're piloting one on our own without necessarily going through a grant. We got a $400,000 grant through LDH to do something similar with our CNA program. We leverage the expertise of Board of Supervisors, Chet Moody, in that regard. It is the first apprenticeship CNA model where our CNA will be paid while also taking advantage of some other redesign in our curriculum as well. So I think I'm really excited about this. I think our folks are thinking outside the box in terms of how to move initiative, particularly in the healthcare space, in the allied healthcare space forward.
Very good. Questions from board members? Guys, I encourage you to equate the word apprenticeship, which we hear a lot. But I don't know that we all have a common definition of apprenticeship. Think of it this way: money in the pocket of the student while they're learning.
Yeah.
That's what matters, because they gotta eat, they gotta take care of their responsibilities, and they still want to go to school. Apprenticeship matters. These two gentlemen are leading not just for the state of Louisiana, but for the nation. Thank you for your work. Good job. We have a very exciting board development segment coming up. I want to run through a quick set of college updates. I want to begin at Swallow Technical Community College, where we had a 20% enrollment increase, fall 25 over 2024. SOLA-CC, we continue to set the standard for academic innovation and community impact. SOLA-CC was a recipient of a TRIO grant in the amount of $4 million. This is what happens when chancellors take their vacation time and write federal grants. Chancellor June, next time we see vacation requests, we're gonna say, no grants this time, okay? But great job, very, very well done, appreciate you. Also at SOLA-CC, the college was named 2025 Acadiana Choice Awards recipient, receiving gold for the best college. Gold for the best college, I said, right? In Lafayette, in the Acadiana region, which is good stuff. And gold for its early college academy for best high school. That's good stuff. As of October 4th, Nunez Community College's enrollment is up 13.3%. How about that? Moving on to the North Shore, where the college has seen an 8% increase fall over fall. Incredible work by Jim and his team there. Fletcher Technical Community College, the college picked up a $1 million 5-year TRIO grant. Congratulations to Chancellor Strickland and her team. At Delgado, we have landed our very first, never happened before, our very first poet laureate is from Delgado Community College. How about that? Good stuff. Professor Gina Ferrara earned the distinguished honor of being named Louisiana's Poet Laureate 2025 through 27 by the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities and Governor Jeff Landry. We will ask Gina, when she's not in class, to join us for a board meeting in the future. I think it would be perfectly appropriate for this board to have a proper introduction to her. Also at Delgado Community College, the Associate Degree Nursing Program renewed its ACEN accreditation, which is really important. So congratulations to Chancellor Staub and her team. At Bossier Parish Community College, the college had yet another RN class with a 98% and above completion rate of the NCLEX. Good stuff there. And then finally at BRCC, $1.083 million. Can't forget that 38,000 there on the end, right, really? Grant from the Department of Education, again, supporting student success right here at Baton Rouge Community College. So very proud of the great work going on around the room. There's a theme that I want to make sure that you note this morning, and that is, you heard a minute ago that we have multiple institutions involved in trying to solve a major problem for the state of Louisiana and some of our key business partners. Well, if you thought that one was big, get ready. I'd like to ask Adam Knapp, if he will, from Leaders for a Better Louisiana, to come forward and present to us the mega site report that outlines the multiple mega sites that are going on across Louisiana and who's going to build those facilities. What I'd like to ask is for Chandler, if you will join him at the table, as well as Chancellor Smith and Chancellor Aspinwall, to talk through the work that both has been identified in need by our friends from Better Louisiana, and also the response from our chancellor. So, Adam, this group is no stranger to you. You've been an incredible partner with us in your prior role as well as in your current role. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors of the LCTCS.
Well, thank you, sir. It's a great honor to be with you today, and I really respect all of the time that you put in to serve on behalf of our state. And it's great to see my second mom here today. She can tell my mom that I showed up on time. It is I want to give a little back context for this conversation. So we as an organization merged Cable, the Council for Better Louisiana, and Committee of 100 in January, and leaders across the state have been helping us think about that. Many of them were in the room. Really see that the state needs to be engaged and driven forward in a very supportive way by leaders across the state who believe in the future of the state. With a recognition that we need to also be focused on big challenges ahead of us. So it's really the context of this report came from a conversation with some of our members in the Monroe region who were reflecting over lunch a few months ago just how dramatically complicated it's going to be in the Monroe region for almost every employer to think about what's going to be happening and hitting the community as two massive projects are being built. And I asked them, well, how do you think that's going to be affected by the LNG projects in Lake Charles? I said, what are you talking about? So I think the context of this is to reflect upon the unique moment in which we find ourselves as a state. We've been through cycles of incredible growth in construction and economic activity before. It is not often that it is also in all of our state, north and south, happening at the same time. So the context of this was almost a thought exercise. What is the nature of that, and have we fully wrapped our heads around just how much is happening? It's so perfect that Hyundai Steel was here to have their curriculum reviewed because their project is one of the most significant that's happening. And the work of all of you to collaborate, as you just shared, is unique and it demonstrates we're rising up to the moment. And what I want to try to review for you is just our analysis, yes, with context for this, but also to spark a conversation, hopefully that this is a moment we all have to have a massive statewide conversation on how to make sure that we're ready for it and ready to sustain not only serving our citizens well, but what we expect will be, what Monty, you told me when we talked about this, big growth surge for our state that potentially we can see a big population shift as well. So how do you want to advance these slides? Go ahead. I'll just call it out. So just to refresh the 6 big projects that are happening at the same time, there are many others, some of which are about to potentially receive final investment decision that will add to this. So this gives you a context of 6 that had received final investment decision at the moment we were doing this work. So 2 big ones in the Monroe region for Meta and Energy Supporting Power Center, Woodside LNG in Calhoun Parish, Venture Global CP2 in Cameron Parish, the big CF Industries project in Donaldsonville, and of course the Hyundai Steel project you just saw described. If you flip to the next slide, this is the visualization of the construction cycles. We're not looking at the permanent jobs that you just heard about. In this report, we just wanted to really wrap our head around the industrial construction impacts of these projects. So these numbers were drawn from LED's press releases, the company's press releases, and where we have had opportunity to do so to gut check those with the company leaders themselves. The colored lines that you see reflect each of the specific project timelines. What we did was just apply a typical construction cycle project cycle. And then if the companies had updates for us, we applied those to here. The big gray mountain is the cumulative effect over that period of time. So what you see pointed out in the top box is that the total cumulative effect is that we'll have a little over 20,000 industrial construction workers across the state of Louisiana at the peak of these projects, which is estimated to be sometime late next year or early the following year. That's a moving target, but that's kind of the estimate that we have today. For context, and the bullet on the right shares this, the current folks that are classified as industrial construction in Louisiana today add to about 86,000 folks. So if you imagine 20,000 of those are at 6 sites in Louisiana. That's a quarter, just about a quarter of the state's industrial construction workforce at its current population. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. That gives you the context of what we're trying to wrap our head around, just so that we can help you and other thought leaders understand what that means for us as a state about how we try to respond to this. Before I move on, I just want to observe that there is still a very good likelihood that one or two other big projects are going to be added to this mix. So this is a number that will change. But we know that these 6 have received final investment decision, are turning dirt, moving forward all across the state. The next slide shows you the regional characterization of this. So not just projects, but what it looks like by region. The Monroe region, the kind of punchline is on the far right in the analysis box. The Monroe region will probably see about I think it's a 3x increase in the demand for industrial construction among its currently available industrial construction workers in its metro market. The Lake Charles area, probably about 2x need for more construction workers than are currently available in its market. Again, based on current population numbers, Baton Rouge is actually the only one that probably has more available construction workers than demand is going to hit. But that is before other projects that may be reaching final investment decision that may impact Baton Rouge, as well as some of the other metro markets. So that gives you the context of those by metro area. And you kind of can see the number of months of the construction cycle for each of those shown. The next slide just kind of puts a finer point on each metro market's numbers. The current industrial construction number, if you kind of look at that top left box, you can kind of see what I was referring to. Monroe has about 2,500 construction workers. Lake Charles is about 5,200 construction workers. And then just on those sites, those 2 sites respectively in each of their metro markets, the projected demand for each of their areas. So that was just to help you kind of visualize what this looks like in terms of the impact by metro market. What we tried to do is just a synopsis of the categories of skill needs, as the chancellors, I'm sure, appreciate. This is something that you want to be more specifically knowledgeable about. What are the curricula that are going to be needed to make sure that we're addressing the construction worker cycle? This gives you a sense of attempting to break down each project's likely demand for different categories of skills across each of these. The next slide, what we wanted to do is to reflect on, well, how are we going to manage through this? What you heard Chancellor from River Parish's share a moment ago is, I think, right on. We want Louisianans to have these jobs. We want to make sure that we're using the systems available in higher education to prepare current adults in industrial construction, as well as new entrants into the industry to have opportunities to take the jobs. The other thing that was interesting that we kept getting asked as we were preparing for this came along, I don't know if you saw this slide later, as folks were saying, don't make it look like we can't take care of this. This is something that we are ready for. And the evidence bears out that the last big construction wave we had lasted from 2012 to 2018. During that period, we almost added 30,000 total industrial construction workers during that period in that labor force population. So you can go back and look at the population of Louisiana by industry category. That's how much we grew in that period. During that same time, and this is not a correlation so that we can say one led to the other, but it's hard to imagine it wasn't directly contributed by this. The population of Louisiana grew by 62,000 people. And so during that same period of this wave of adding folks in the industrial construction positions, you can see the NAICS codes of those sectors on the bottom listed. Now that's when the state went through a big population wave. And so what we know about these workers is that they do migrate quite a lot. When you talk about in migration that comes, they come for short waves of construction cycles and they move with those construction cycles. Something that Monty said when we were talking about this is spot on. If they do move in, many of those are going to be ex-Louisianans. Many of them may fall in love with our waterways and our fisheries and our habitats and our community quality of life and food. How we hang on to them and convert them to permanent residents is a long-term question. There is some evidence we saw that in the past. We have many of these industrial construction jobs. You'll see that number from where it was in 2010 to where it is today in 2025. The total number of folks in industrial construction does go up and stay up. Some percentage stay to continue to be part of our industrial construction labor force. The next slides we wanted to also show is just the kind of summary of all these talking points. These are ones that we've kind of already reviewed. All of this research, by the way, is on our website, betterla.org. So I have two more slides. The next one is to show you how we reacted last time. And so we have seen a lot of different changes since the wave of construction in 2011, 2012, 2013 that has persisted. LCTCS got a major award, and I'll let y'all talk about that in a second, from its response efforts, your response efforts, the last big time this occurred. The other big thing, not in this room, but important to recognize, is LSU's construction management degree is now its largest construction management or degree offered in the College of Engineering. It has grown substantially since the last big wave of industrial construction. There isn't a ranking for construction management degrees in the country. This would be the top one, I think, if there were a degree recognition kind of ranking these programs nationally. But that increase is really demonstrates the supply of folks that we're perfecting to go into the industrial construction sector in Louisiana. And we had some meetings with LSU recently. They're doing a lot of thinking about the scaling up of this program even further from where it is today. And then the other evidence point that I pointed out was just that Southwest Louisiana did organize to support SASOL a big go group effort to demonstrate not just a statewide effort, but what it looks like at a regional level to build intense industrial collaboration around workforce needs. And just some of the evidence of what's kind of already happening, that's the kind of, we got this skilled trades marketing campaign is being discussed between LED, LCTCS, Board of Regents, and Department of Veteran Affairs to promote the demand in trades. LWC, the Workforce Commission, has been building out One Door largely as a way to engage more of our residents in the workforce who are on the sidelines by doing a much more collaborative effort to try to link things like SNAP benefits and other parts of our safety net to job search in a simpler way. That's the motivation of the One Door transition. LED launched this new 9x90, implementing its long-range strategic plan, really building on this notion of a whole of government approach to all of that kind of development, that it is not just one agency that's part of that kind of development, it's the whole state. The Workforce Commission is looking at a way to potentially go differently at how they think about business services for outreach, something we're excited to see, but addressing workforce shortages that might be downstream from industrial construction, like what we heard at Monroe. And then generally in the Department of Education and in the Workforce Commission, a lot of collaboration is starting to happen with the new accountability formula that took effect in August, trying to put more of an emphasis on career and technical education. A lot of that is in collaboration and partnership with LCTCS campuses for dual enrollment, as well as apprenticeship and internship that we heard some about earlier. So just some of the exciting things that are already underway, but a lot more we think needs to be done given the scale and enormity of this challenge. I wanted just to call out our co-chair this year is sitting among us, Heather Poole. We really appreciate Heather, her leadership in collaboration with Dr. Philip Roseman, who have been helping us through our merger transitions here.
Bill Roseman, big shoes to fill, right? Big shoes to fill, but you got it. Incredible numbers. I want to turn, if I can, to Dr. Chandler LaBeouf and give him an opportunity to give a little bit of context around that box that you saw a second ago, where you saw the growth in construction jobs. I think it's really important that we not talk about it in the context of we did that LCTCS, but we were a part of a much bigger effort that resulted in that growth. So Chandler.
Good morning, Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, members of the board. Again, thank you, Adam, and the team for this report. It couldn't have come at a better time, especially with the growth that's happening with economic development and the jobs. What you'll note, and as mentioned, in that 2012 timeframe, LCCS was called upon to really help in the construction and industrial trades. And with that work, and our colleges at the time produced that workforce for the need in the region and across the state, which they recognized LCCS as an entity for being a partner in that space, which is the notable trophy here at the time of our efforts in the industrial construction trades. But from 2012 to 2018, We played a large part in helping train that 30,000 individuals across our state. And Chancellor Sawtelle had put together back then some reports that really were important that we shared with Adam to help show that we've been poised and ready as a system in a collection of 12 colleges. So with Meta coming, with Hyundai coming, with the LNG expansion and those 3 markets, we know that we can respond in all 12 markets and we remain ready. We've invested over $1 million in rapid response to some of those markets already. And we have about 250,000 in funds coming to our foundation to help in those efforts as well. And so we are also making sure our colleges are able to expand those programs with the resources that we have to meet the demands, especially with Meta, Hyundai, and LNG. So with that, I will turn it over to the institutions to dive into a little more of their work.
Just as part of the response to, when you see data like this, it's stark. It sort of slaps you in the face. But you turn to the leaders that you know have been in the trenches, doing this work for years. And so what we decided to do was to take the 2 sides of the construction space, which is construction management, a program that Chancellor Willie Smith and his team at Baptist Community College have done an incredible job with over the years. Great working relationships with the folks at LSU to really kind of advance the notion of construction management. The point here is to make sure that we don't just give people the first rung in construction, we give them a career path. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Neil Aspinall, who has been the guy responding in Southwest Louisiana. When you saw that regional number up there, the guy leading that effort is Neil Aspinall. What we're asking both Neil and Willie to do is to be the leaders of the system to respond in construction management and in construction trades. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over. Willie, we'll start with you to talk a bit about construction management space and the work that we're doing to prepare ourselves.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan, Chairman Hardy, board members. This is an exciting time for me. Many of you know my reputation of being in the workforce for so long, nearly 25 years doing this kind of work. I tell Adam that you started about 2012, but they have not been 6 major projects amongst one period of time, every 1 or 2. So this is something new for us, but also a great opportunity. I want to focus on 3 areas, but certainly get to your point, Dr. Sullivan. The first is, how do we workforce readiness, how we expand our demand and training and capacity. This is going to be our challenge, but something, as you saw the challenges talk about, that we have been doing throughout our system for a period of time, developing those short-term workforce credentials in welding, industrial maintenance, or heavy equipment and logistics. We have done one of those things, but now we need to figure out how we're going to scale that. And to me, Dr. Sullivan has said this before, and I know we talked about it earlier, how we coordinate this work that we're doing across all of our sister institutions, right? And so I like to call it a name, Dr. Sullivan, today, a collaborative training network. And what that is, form a regional partnership of our sister institution, be able to meet some of this demand that not one institution get the credit, but all of us get the credit on making sure we're putting people back to work across Louisiana. And as you saw, the outlines back, which is going to be the later growth to some of these. So we're going to play a larger role supporting many of our sister institutions. As it pertains to construction management, I had the opportunity to meet with LED. We got a workforce commission, Adam was there, Channel was there, as well as the folks from LSU. I have been stressing for years, that's an opportunity and synergy for us to work together. Because LSU, the dean pointed this out in our meeting, there's hundreds of students who leave LSU who don't want the bachelor degrees in construction management. They want that practical hands-on. We do that well. This is the opportunity now for us to expand our associate or science pathways with university students. We wonder why those students leave Louisiana, because they want to do something with their hands, not just through theory with their mind. So this is a great opportunity, and if it works well, for us to be able to do that. The third, final one I say to get off this topic, while we are focused on construction management, partner with our sister institution, there also need to be expanding the workforce pipeline. We talked largely about dual enrollment. We're doing early college academy as well as South Louisiana Community College, the Owls, as well as River Parishes. We have to be able to expand those to younger students now. The opportunity to do an enrollment, get those students prepared for those industry demands or those jobs that's going to be available. Because just us getting along for normal workers at 1.1 million is not going to be enough to tackle this problem. We need to be able to address that. Secondly, in the capital region, we're going to be attracting new population. Those working that quit talking about the 1.1 billion, but also we have a lot of displaced workers who are not in the workforce who can fill those jobs and those demands. We're working with a company like Hope Ministry. We have over 12 to 15 secondary partner that we're, and I'm gonna be meeting next week, we all for to talk about how we expand dual enrollment, early child access, because we know those jobs are gonna be available and we need to have a plan in place tonight. So we're excited to be part of this. We're excited to partner with our switch institution system. Of course, but I cannot say how exciting time it is that we're gonna reach this milestone together.
Well, one of the points that came up in that conversation, with the most recent meeting, was there are more pumps and valves per square foot in this part of the world than there are anywhere else on the planet. Why shouldn't we be the leader in industrial construction? Of course we should. Chancellor, I'll turn to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Hardy, President Sullivan, members of the board. Thank you and happy birthday, Katie, again. We appreciate you for being here. But I have to say that, in Southwest Louisiana, so well, this is not our first rodeo. I think you realize that because when the Sasol project come up, and Adam alluded to this, 2012 to 2017, 18, we were pressed. And at that time, we built a regional training center, so we have the facility now. We have two organizations we work with, the Lake Erie Industry Alliance and the South Louisiana Construction User Council. One of our keys and what the lesson that we've learned is we embed ourselves for these industries. We have to know what jobs they need, when they need those jobs, and when they begin to hire, because then we began to ramp up our enrollment. I can tell you that many of our programs, because of the LNG industries that are coming and are already in place, the enrollment is beginning to tick up. You saw our 20% enrollment growth. And programs like PTEC, industrial instrumentation, industrial electrical, chem lab, which came about because of the Sasol project, machine tool technology, welding, HVAC, and we also have a pipeline training academy. I will send Katie some pictures if you'll notice on the screen. We just opened probably one of the only institutions in Louisiana who has a pipeline training academy. So we just finished that and opened that, which will come in great for these new industries. But I can tell you, I can talk specifically about BG or Metro Global tonight. Those are the two mega projects that's coming. BG actually has been located on our campus for the last 8 months. They're utilizing about 4,500 square feet of training space as they build their facility out. So we're helping them onboard about 300 employees. They've been great. It gives us time to see what they need, to sell ourselves to them. So they've been great partners. One of the keys that I learned and we learned through the last mega projects is that during the honeymoon period, make sure industries are always telling you what they need. You need to make sure you tell them what you need. Because once it's built and the construction's over, sometimes it's hard to get resources out of it. I can tell you, BG's been a great partner. For the last 2 years, they funded our last 5 commercial truck driving program, which really has nothing to do with their industry, but they're wanting to be a good partner. So they provided about $200,000 that we train truck drivers. Woodside, ironically, Woodside will be on our campus tomorrow. They're bringing 7 corporate employees. They want to know what we have, what we can do for them. So at that time, we can sell ourselves. Because one of the things, again, that we need to know is what their needs are. Whatever their needs are, we develop programs. And one of the funny programs we did during the Sasol phase, and it took me a while to figure out what it was, it's called Rockbusters. I thought it had something to do with fishing. But it was the people who lay the steel before they pour concrete. And we were training those folks over and over again. So we know the construction part of this is going to be huge. And as Chancellor Taylor mentioned, everyone mentioned here, our goal is when the construction's over, these permanent jobs are there, it's the Louisiana citizens who have those jobs. And that's our goal. We're naive to know that we can't fill all these construction jobs. They're going to bring a lot. And with them, fortunately for Southwest Louisiana, much of the infrastructure, like the worker villages are still there. Many of the feeding places are still there. So it doesn't take us a whole lot of time to reset and provide the services there. But again, our focus is providing those permanent, high skill, high wage, high demand jobs for Louisiana citizens. And we're ready.
Very good. Questions from the board?
But so I'd like to add one last thing is that this board, guys talking around the state about this work that we're gonna do. And we need to make sure that, through my experience, I know Adam will chime in here too, that when we see these programs, these industry takes up a different community, you have a pitfall of folks gonna run and take those jobs and leave their current job to go a few extra dollars here and there. So that's an opportunity for us, for upskilling and backfilling those opportunities. And we got to talk to our companies about that, that even though you may lose it, that's an opportunity now to backfill and upskill your existing employees.
Questions from the board?
Remind me, Dr. Sullivan, when we addressed this, the fire surge, we had some incentives, in some way, shape, or form that helped us do that, or perhaps someone else can remind me. So there was, I want to say that I'm sorry, the rest. There was some investment made that allowed us to respond, either it may have been rapid response, it may have been tuition assistance. I just remember some things, pretty significant, investments that the state made through us to really respond. What was that, and do we still have those?
So rapid response was a portion of that, and then there was a one-time investment made. Now, we will revisit that at appropriate time as we continue to show this work. But rapid response is our vehicle in which is responding.
What do we do with rapid response dollars? What does that allow us to do?
Rapid response allows us to exactly this, which is expand upon program, build new program, support expansion, and we're trying to make sure that it's focused in the areas of need.
So let me be more specific. You know, we're able to hire more instructors with us.
Yes.
Or we were able to defray tuition costs to students, or a combination of both, or what do we?
We've done a mixture of both historically.
Okay. So what we would anticipate here in the past, there's always sort of these days, and I'll use healthcare as an example. 3 years ago, we went to the legislature and said, we have this healthcare issue, we need to solve it. We were asking for money for LCTCS. What Adam outlined a minute ago, please don't overlook that the infrastructure from a state perspective is being developed at LED through the whole of government approach, through the workforce commission, where you're seeing this one door approach, through our colleges, through even Leaders for a Better Louisiana, as all of these are evolving, it comes to a place where now there is a group ask. Now there's an ask on behalf of the state of Louisiana that allows these colleges to have access to resources to solve the problem. But we're not the ones out alone in the wilderness making the ask. Is that a fair way to start?
So make one comment for Steve, many of these programs, the PTech, industrial transportation or credit program, with the students have access to federal financial aid. But many of these are going to be short-term, customized contract training, and students can't afford them. It's good to have a source of scholarships to pay for them. Into the industries will provide money, but they can't provide it all. So we do need a source of revenue for that.
Other questions or comments? I have to tell you, yes, sir.
So clearly there's a need for, there's a need for us to have other resources to meet this demand.
That's correct.
Similar to what this regular state legislature and administration have provided to us to help us respond to that, which I recall responding, as you said, very successfully. Yes,
Yeah.
but that was not without support.
Yes, so it is on our advocacy agenda.
Sure is.
Without that.
I would just add that really is the heart of why we wanted to put this together is discrete projects that happen in each other's markets have to be seen as a cumulative effect, not as isolated effects. For system level planning to respond, and that's what's happened in the past, and it takes kind of illustrating it hopefully to bring it to everybody's attention. We need to serve it activity.
In 2021, we asked a group called NCHIMS, National Council for Higher Education Management Systems, come into our organization and help us to answer the question, post-COVID, how do we maximize the resources that we have to solve the bigger challenges? And you know what they told us? The number one recommendation was to leverage the entire curriculum of all 12 colleges on behalf of 4.6 million people at the state level. You've just seen two examples of that. One with Hyundai that I still marvel at, Chancellor Taylor, excellent work. This one, even bigger in the sense that we've got our partners from Leaders for a Better Louisiana helping to lay the groundwork to create the appetite, if you will, in the community for this is what needs to happen. So in my 12 years in this role, I haven't seen a time when we are able to do this as well and as nimbly as we need to. So thank you to each one of you as leaders. Adam, thank you for your work. We very much appreciate you. All right, with that, Mr. Chair, that concludes the president's report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sullivan. Exciting stuff. This time I asked Supervisor Collins, are you prepared to present the academic action item for consideration by the board?
Yes, sir.
Please proceed.
First up, I thank you, Dr. LeBeau, because I have an accreditation update just for simply for information, Dr. LeBeau.
Yep.
Give that update.
Yeah, great, thank you, Supervisor. This morning, I'm gonna give an update, purely for informational purposes only, on the progression where North Louisiana Technical Community College stands with its final stage towards accreditation. They are at the final compliance certification application process, which includes that they meet those remaining standards. They have a check in with SACS later in November to make sure that they are set and have met those standards, or an opportunity of time to get to meet the standards before they have their site visit. There is a site visit scheduled. It is now scheduled March 2nd through the 6th. So we should be prepared and set for that site visit and for them to get their accreditation recommendation at the appropriate time at that next board meeting that SACS will have. And so again, the Northwest team just gives their sincere appreciation to the board office team and the academic and workforce space, especially Mr. Kulak and Dr. Palermo on their efforts in getting Northwest to its final stage.
Very good. One quick note, members of the board, we will very likely be reaching out to you because there will be a need to have members of the board engage with the visit committee. We typically try to give a couple of board members some time in advance, but March 2nd through the 6th. What this means is that by the June meeting of SACS, we should have all 12 of our two-year colleges in the LCTCS accredited by SACS. Now we can begin to take a look at the broader discussions going on within the state around accreditation and how we want to move forward from there. Very excited about the work at Northwest.
Thank you, Dr. LeBeau. As Vice Chair of the Academics Committee, I move to suspend the rules for allowing academic items J.2 and J.3 to be considered for action instead of review and advisement. Are there any objections? Hearing no objections, academic items J.2 and J.3 will be considered for action. Item J.2 is for revisions to the LCTCS policy number 1.004, general admissions policy statement. Dr. LeBeau, would you like to say a word on that?
Yes, so what you have in front of you is, due to the changing circumstances, we've updated the LCTCS policy. These changes are related to aligning to all the federal and state regulations. With the recent 2025 regular legislative session, Act 419 passed, which basically requires that we make sure that every individual we serve has provided some proof of lawful presence in the United States, are required to obtain that. And so this policy outlines that, so our institutions can make sure that they're doing those efforts and aligning with the law. And so I will read the recommendation when ready. Staff recommends that the board approve the attached revisions to the LCTCS policy 1.004 general admissions policy statement.
Is there a motion to the staff recommendation?
Motion by Supervisor Butler McIntyre. Second by Supervisor Mead.
That's been motioned and seconded, and we accept the staff recommendation. Is there any discussion on the agenda item? Hearing no discussion, is there any objection? No objection, so moved. Next, we have item J.3, revisions to the LCTCS policy number 1.102, work ready youth program administration.
Yes, so this policy, Work Ready You, requests that the Board of Supervisors review the updates to policy 1.102, specifically to comply with the newly released federal interpretation of the Personal Responsibility of Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. So the Act and Act 419, Aurora Act and Act 419, which basically is doing the same thing. It's asking for student eligibility must be determined with all applicable federal and state laws governing the access to public funded education. So if they're going to receive public funds and access those, we must align to that same standard and policy. So if there are no other questions, I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board approve the attached revisions to the LCTCS policy 1.102 Work Ready Youth Program Administration.
Is there a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
Motion by Supervisor Logan, seconded by Supervisor Price.
There has been a motion and a second to approve the staff recommendation of approval of work review programs administration policy update. Is there any discussion on the item? Hearing no discussion, is there any objection to the approval? Hearing none, so moved. Next is item number J.4, review and advisement of revisions to the LCTCS policy number 1.033, strategic enrollment management.
Yes, so again, this is only for review and advisement. There will be no action required. What this does is we've taken an opportunity to revise the strategic enrollment management policy, which specifically outlined that every institution must have a strategic enrollment management plan and the principles of that plan. What we're doing is taking the next step and asking that the annual enrollment projections and budgets be integrated so that the finance team is ultimately projecting the particular finances based off the enrollment projections. So the two work together becomes the revision to this policy. And again, no action required, but I'll read the recommendation of no questions. This staff recommends that the board accept the review and advisement, the attached revisions to LCTS policy 1.003 strategic enrollment management.
Any questions or comment on that? No action is requested.
1.033.
1.033.
With no discussion on that item, we'll move to the next item. That item J.5, review and advisement of the revisions to the LCTCS policy number 2.003, campus safety and hazing.
Yes, so the LCTCS policy 2.003 campus safety and hazing is again, no action required for review and advisement. This ultimately is implementing the Act 174 of the 2025 regular legislative session language into the policy, which now requires 2 hours of training for students and student organizations and institutions that have to meet that requirement. It was originally 1 hour, now it's 2 hours, and that came out of the recent legislative session, so this policy is being updated to align to that requirement. If no questions, I'll read recommendations. Staff recommends that the board accept for review and advisement the attached revisions to LCTCS policy 2.003 campus safety and hazing.
Is there any discussion on the agenda item? No action is required. That, Mr. Chair, all the academic items have been considered. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Supervisor Howard.
And if I may, I'd like to make a quick announcement and recognize, this is an organization that is built on people. It's built for people. It's almost impossible for us to sit here today and not acknowledge a legend in our midst. Teresa, hey, would you please stand up and be recognized? That Teresa was one of the original employees at River Parishes Community College. So when I think about the work that we just saw, preparing for Hyundai, I think about Teresa Hay and many others that built that institution and ensured that the people of that region had access. She also went on to work at the Board of Regents for a number of years and was the two-year college voice at the Board of Regents for many years. Teresa, a friend, and indeed, I say it enough times, a legend. You helped us all out in many ways. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Sullivan. Supervisor Smith, are you prepared to present the facilities action items for consideration by the board?
Yes, sir. Very well. Well, first item is a service right-of-way agreement between the board and AT&T for Suella. Bill, you can handle that?
Yep. Good morning, Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, members. This is a request from Suella. They currently lease about 71 acres of land to the Chenault Airport Authority for the airport operations in Lake Charles. This right away is to request to allow AT&T to establish and install fiber optic cabling and the necessary equipment for internet and phone connectivity in the area.
If I can, you just speak up a bit.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Staff recommends that the board authorize the system president to execute a right-of-way agreement between the LCTCS on behalf of Sewella Technical Community College and AT&T to allow the connection of fiber optic cabling and equipment along the property line of the college in an area depicted in the attached illustration. A copy of this agreement must be filed with the local clerk of courts and the state land office.
Any further recommendation? Do we have a motion for approval?
Motion by Supervisor Mount, seconded by Supervisor Covey.
We've got a motion for second. Does anybody have any questions for Philby on this agenda item? Okay, does anybody have any objections? Hearing none, that motion carries. Good news is, Neil, you got internet service today. Congratulations.
And then we're gonna train AT&T on how to do that.
All you gotta do is pay the bill now. Next one is, demolition of a building at Central Louisiana Technical Community College.
Sir, this is a request, for demolition for 3 buildings that, currently at the Avoyles campus in Concord. Each of these buildings are over 40 years old. They're in significant disrepair. We've listed the square footage, so they're fairly small buildings. The campus is undergoing an Act 751 deferred maintenance project right now, aimed at mitigating persistent flooding issues. Some of the drainage work that's necessary is gonna run right where these buildings are currently located, so the demolition is really necessary to facilitate the drainage work. Staff recommends the board authorize the system president and the chancellor of Central Louisiana Technical Community College to execute all necessary documents to demolish 3 buildings at the Avoyles campus in Concord. Final approval for these demolitions must be obtained from the Office of Facility Planning and Control.
We've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion and a second?
Motion by Supervisor McIntyre, seconded by Supervisor Conduit.
Okay, do we have any questions or discussion on this item?
What is held in these buildings? What are they used for?
I think they're primarily for storage and maintenance, so there's no classroom space. It's basically kind of old sheds. I guess is the right way to describe it.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Any objections to this motion? Hearing none, that motion carries. So we'll move on to item 8, which is the capital outlay request for next year. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we had a review and advisement at the last meeting. There's been any comments on the capital outlay request, but now we're ready to finalize it and submit it.
That's correct. So this is the final list that followed up from the last meeting, which came from the review and advisement. There have been no substantial significant changes, tweaks, a couple of the dollar amounts for consultation with colleges, but there are no significant differences from the previous report. So this report will be submitted to Board of Regents for the inclusion in the capital outlay request upcoming, and we'll be working closely with them through the process going into the legislature on this list.
Okay, you want to read the recommendation?
Staff recommends that the board approve the fiscal year 2026-2027 capital outlay list of recommended projects and authorize the president to make any technical corrections to the request that may be necessary before final submission to the Board of Regents.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we hear a motion in a second?
Motion by Supervisor Price. And seconded by Supervisor Covey.
So we've got a motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions on the capital outlay request or Mr. Como or someone else? Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, that motion carries. We'll move on to item 9, which is gonna maybe help us clean up our agenda going forward, right? Como, Dr. Sullivan, right?
So this is a request for amendments to the utility right of way agreement, a blanket approval change. So having the first item on the agenda and we do that routinely, fairly administrative in nature. Currently, the president has authority from the board to approve right of ways for capital outlay projects that are funded. We're seeing a growth, obviously, in pressure funding grants and other type of funding. So this request essentially extends that authority to allow us to move a little bit more faster administratively on those right of way requests.
Okay. So we'll read the recommendation.
Staff recommends that the board approve amending the existing blanket approval that permits the system president to execute right of way agreements between utility providers and the LCTCS on behalf of its member colleges to include all construction projects regardless of funding source, excluding those managed by the LCTCS Facilities Corporation. Legal descriptions and technical drawings delineating the areas to be conveyed will be retained in the office of Vice President for Administration.
Again, the purpose of this, right, so you don't bring up this issue out that we saw earlier, but you can tend to see from time to time. Right. Okay, we heard the recommendation from staff. We have a motion and a second to adopt this recommendation.
Motion by Supervisor Beltran, second by Supervisor Hogan.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about, what we're doing here? Okay, I see any. Anybody have any objections? Hearing none, that motion carries. All right, the next one is a lease agreement between, the LCTCS, Nunez Community College and St. Bernard. This is that, I think, building, Tina, that, they want us to set up some shop, do some training in, I believe, right?
That is not, Supervisor Smith, it's actually a piece of property that's adjacent to our campus that the athletics would be able to utilize and
Okay.
can use it.
All right, because there's another one out there, percolating, as you mentioned.
There is. Okay.
My
They're
mistake.
busy.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gold, I jumped right behind you.
Totally fine. So this is a request, from Nunez Community College to acquire property for the development of a dedicated baseball field, to support the continued growth and success of its program. Program established in 2017 has continued to grow, significantly, becoming really a source of pride for the college and the community. They currently share a facility with the local high school, so there's a lot of logistics in coordinating, scheduling. This is a proposed offering from St. Bernard Parish government to offer up 10 acres of land through a 99-year no-cost lease system on behalf of Nunez to be used as a baseball field. During the term of the lease, any improvements will be made by the college. The college will assume responsibility for insuring the property. And then there'll be some crosswork with the parish government for use for special events that will be approved for the college. So I think a really good opportunity for the community and for the college.
Recommendation.
Staff recommends that the board authorize the system president and the chancellor of Nunez Community College to negotiate and execute a long-term lease agreement of property from the St. Bernard Parish government. A copy of this agreement must be filed with the local clerk report to the state land office.
Okay, heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion and a second?
Motion by Supervisor Conduit, seconded by Supervisor Hogan.
Thank you. Do we have any questions on this item? If not, do you have any objections? Hearing none, that motion carries. The last one is the extension of the deadline to secure funding for new campus construction or Bastrop.
Yes, sir. So just a little history during the April 2022 meeting of the Board of Supervisors. The board accepted donation of property from the Morehouse Innovation and Technology Alliance through the LCTCS Foundation to construct a new campus in Bastrop. That project originally was contained in the capital outlay bill. The donation had a reversionary clause that stated construction needed to take place by the end of this year, or the land would revert back to the original donor. Since the project was moved from capital outlay into Act 35, that project will be funded through a bond sale that we'll talk about in early 2026. So we needed some more time on that property. We've had some preliminary conversations. Now we're going through the motions to get the formal approvals to get that extension documented before.
Okay. Recommendation.
Staff recommends that the board authorize the system president and the chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College to complete all requirements and execute all documents necessary to extend the deadline for securing funding to construct a campus in Bastrop, property donated to the LCTCS by the Morehouse Innovation and Technology Alliance.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion and a second?
Motion by Supervisor Price, seconded by Supervisor McCollum.
Okay. Any questions on this one? If there are no questions, any objections? Any on that motion carried? I think that's all the facility stuff that's great.
Thank you, Supervisor Smith. Now, this time, Supervisor Lee, are you prepared to present the finance action item for consideration by the board?
I am, sir. First, agenda item number 12, fiscal year 25-26 operating budget for LCTCS entities. If you remember last month, that was presented just for review and advisement, and this time Joe will be giving some information on final budget.
Yes, good morning, Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, Supervisor Lane, board members. First off, just to make a note, Toby and I did not plan to dress as we did. Some of our suits and red tie.
Here's my time. Here's my time.
We're making it easy for everyone. But with that, I am bringing to you before you for today's action, formal action is to be taken on our operating budgets of the system and all member colleges. As Supervisor mentioned last time, as a matter of protocol, we always bring you the allocation first. Just as you just heard with capital outlay list, preliminary list, and final list, we come again for you to address the approval of the actual operating budgets. In short, the operating budget is a standstill budget for the most part. I will note that as in years past, it's we're having more reliance on our self-generated tuition revenue. And so obviously, when you talk about enrollment growth of 20% at Sowella and other areas, people always assume that that things are great because we've got this tuition money coming in. But I would like to part on you. I've had this analogy for years now. I use it when I need it. Colleges are like boats, whether it's Piro, a Bateau, John boat, whatever part of the state you're from, and it's students coming onto the ship or onto the boat. The boat has a lake, but they bring in a cup, the bail. And depending on the type of student, whether it's a high cost program, that may be a little bit more heavy set as a passenger versus maybe somebody taking gen ed classes, kind of a lighter load in terms of the expenses. And then tuition, that cup does help to bail the boat out, but it doesn't necessarily fix the leak or keep the boat whole. I've always maintained that there's two things that can happen. You can either grow yourself in prosperity or grow yourself in poverty. You can actually kill yourself by enrolling too many students without that offsetting state support. So I just kind of bring that to you that as we go and advocate that we keep in mind that these stresses that are being placed on our colleges, we do need the state support to help us meet those goals and those stresses that are being placed upon us, rightfully so. But let's not assume that the tuition will take care of all our problems, because it won't. In essence, as I said before, it's a standstill budget pretty much from last year to this year. There are some concerns in the future about whether the state fiscal health will be. There are some Medicaid concerns, some SNAP concerns that are on the horizon, although there are no specifics as of yet. That we just need to be mindful as a member of the larger body that we call the state of Louisiana. And so if there are no questions, I'll recommend that the board approve the formal FY 25-26 operating budgets of the LCTCS colleges in board office.
All right, this time I'll entertain a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Supervisor Mount, seconded by Supervisor Smith.
All right, are there any questions?
Joe, what's the mix right now, self-innovated versus state support, 75-25?
49 state, 51 self-generated.
Okay.
And just to put things in perspective, 25 years ago when I started, that number was 80% for our two-year schools state funded, 90% for our technical colleges was state supported.
All right, any more questions regarding this agenda item? Is there any discussion or opposition? Hearing none, this motion carries. The next agenda item is number 13. It is being presented today for review and advisement only. It is revisions to LCTCS policy number 5.025 regarding institutional aid.
Correct. No action is needed today, again, for review and advisement. But this policy has been around since 2005. It was amended in 2018. And as with anything, when you get 12 counts together, they agree to disagree on different interpretations and whatnot. So as with all things, we got together, we hammered out some differences of interpretation to make sure we're all on the same page going forward. So we defined what's a waiver, what's not a waiver. How do you calculate the waiver? This 10%. What's it based on? We all agreed upon the financial audited financial statements, right? So that way we're all doing the same thing. So
I will bring this to you at a later time for action, but today there's no report action. I just am reading that you should please accept for review and advisement the attached revisions to policy, LCTCS policy 5.025, institutional aid.
All right, are there any questions regarding that item? Okay, if not, we'll move on to item number 14, which is amendment to the professional services contract between the LCTCS Board of Supervisors and Long Law Firm LLP. Renita, thank you.
Well, I asked Renita if she would come to the table because while I pay the bills, she actually deals with the lawyers. So, let's make this a tag team deal here, because I can talk to the contracts, but she can talk to the specifics of the contract itself. In essence, we are coming before you today to amend the current contract that we have with the Long Law Firm. If you might recall, we went into a contract with the Long Law Firm to help with some of the offsetting issues legal issues that we were dealing with that continue to grow over time, particularly since COVID. This amendment is basically to increase the amount of the contract. We're not lengthening the term of the contract. We're just increasing the amount to help for the offset, pay the bills that we need to pay for the work that has been done. I will like to make a technical correction to the recommendation. You get a finance guy with the lawyer. One thing's gonna get messed up, and in this case, the total amount of the contract is not for $35,500, but it's for $34,500. It's $1,000 difference. There are no questions, Rita, if there's anything you wish to say.
No, you want me to read the recommendation?
Oh, sure.
Okay, all right, staff recommends that the board approve an amendment to add $15,000 to the existing legal services contract with Long Law Firm LLP for the period from October 14, 2024 to October 13, 2025. The proposed amendments will raise the total contract amount to $34,500. This contract amendment is subject to the approval of the Office of Attorney General and the Office of General Counsel.
All right, are there any questions regarding that item? Sure. Okay. Any opposition? All right.
Your call.
Oh, sorry. Entertain a motion.
Yeah, motion by Supervisor Mount, seconded by Supervisor Holland.
Thank you. Any questions or opposition? All right, that motion carries. The next item is item 15, the professional services contract between the LCTCS Board of Supervisors and outside legal counsel.
Correct. Since the inception of the LCTCS, we have always had a system-wide level contract for legal services. As we've grown and developed, one of the things we have kind of found is that it's always best to partner with a partner that has had a relationship with us over time. And one of those has been Jones Walker, even though technically they have not had a relationship with the LCTCS board proper. They have been involved since the inception of the alternative finance projects, Act 391 and 360, going back to 2013 as our found bond counsel for the LCTCS facility course, which is, again, is a separate entity from us, but it does work, of course, obviously with this system. And with that said, we are wanting to recommend having a contract with Jones Walker as our firm for legal services for the LCTCS. I will say that we are adjusting the amount of the contract up a little bit out of necessity. The AG's office for the state is the one who sets the rate, so it's not a negotiated rate. It is the rate, whether we want it or not, and they have, like other things that have gone up over time, adjusted the rates upward for all lawyers doing services for the state. And in this case, we are asking for a contract for $175,000 for the year. We don't expect that to be something that we're going to meet, but we're doing it just to have as a little cushion in the event that we do. We are finding that in addition to the rate going up, that the need for legal services continues in the state. You may recall 5+ years ago, I mentioned that we were noticing an uptick of the need of services during COVID that has not fallen back or decreased any. It's actually kind of gotten a little more complicated in some cases. So these cases are longer that are going on and so forth. So, if you have anything else to add or wish to add?
I'll read the recommendation because I'm good at that, right? Okay, staff recommends the board approve a legal services contract with Jones Walker LLP effective November 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026 in the amount of $175,000. The proposed agreement will include an option to renew for an additional 1-year term, subject to performance review and board needs. This contract, of course, is contingent upon approval of the Office of Attorney General and the Office of State Procurement.
Alright. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Thank you, Supervisor Hall.
Alright, are there any questions?
So we have two different items here with, well, first off, the contract with Jones Walker has $175,000 upset on it, but all that, I'm assuming, is gonna be billed hourly, whatever services, that's all billed out and person rate schedule that HU, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. It is billed hourly, and as Joe explained earlier, the Attorney General did increase upward the rates for every attorney group, and just for example, the top tier was increased by $125 an hour, so that was a significant increase. And I don't believe there's been an increase of that amount in a long time, but yes.
Well, we don't need that guy for Jones Walker, we need the junior.
Trust me, for our, we do need the top tier. For our age, we need the top tier.
Don't tell us that.
You don't pay now, you pay later.
Some way you'll pay.
So what, I guess, what's the difference,
Okay.
what's the
There's
services that expected between item 14 and item 15? I mean, just
Absolutely.
approved a small.
So law firm, and I'll just refresh your memory a bit, for that contract, it was purely because of conflict of interest with Phelps Dunbar, with 2 of their clients. And so we had the law firm contract to augment our primary contract with Phelps Dunbar. Because we're moving to a new law firm, the law firm contract will expire next week. So the amount that we added, the $15,000, is just to get us through next week. And then the task will transition to Jones Walker. And we intend to allow Phelps Dunbar, our current primary firm, to see their the existing matters that they have, that they're handling for, to see those.
That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Alright, any other questions?
My question is, one with Jones and Walker, November, June, that's not a year, so the next, okay. Yes, ma'am. So generally our contract align with the fiscal year, and because we're making a change mid-fiscal year, it's November 1st through the end of the fiscal year, and then we'll be back at the table before June 30th to ask for a new contract. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a last question. If the long law firm is ending October 13th, and this one is not starting until November 1st, are we just saying that Phelps Dunbar wants to cover the gap in between?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps Dunbar will cover the gap, and they're well suited.
Alright, any other questions or opposition? Alright, hearing none, the motion carries. Item number 16, the Board of Regents match endow scholarships and professorships.
I'll do the intro on it, just a little backstory on what this is about. So in 1986, the state, for those of you who may not remember, in 1986, there was an offshore settlement agreement with the state, and we received billions of dollars from that settlement. But part of that fund went to the creation of a LCTCS fund, Education Quality Support Fund. Between us and the US and the State Department of Ed. It's a fund that sits at the Board of Regents that basically provides the state funds available for matching grants for any private donations that are made for endowments, professorships, first-time scholarships, some first-generation scholarships, and others. It requires that before we provide anything to the Board of Regents, that our board, any management board, takes action on those items formally before we submit those to the Board of Regents. So, and with that said, I'll turn it over to Dr. Rudolph for background. What's going on?
So we typically submit these every December. But the Board of Regents has moved up its timeline in application that our colleges have to make. So that timeline has traditionally been February 1st. It is now in November. So this comes to the board in October in anticipation that each college will submit their successful application in November. What you have in front of you is a list of 56 endowments, 9 institutions who are applying. This is 3.3 million in private funds that our colleges and their foundations have raised. 2.94 would be matched in state funds for a total of $6,245,000 to be invested into LCTCS and their foundation. And before I read the recommendation, I do just want to highlight that since 2023, our colleges have been extra aggressive in the endowments and the matching program. We went from 56 million in total assets as a system collectively of 13 foundations to over 72 million as of June 30th. And so you can see the work that our colleges are doing to leverage these opportunities. If no questions, I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board approve the endowed scholarships and professorships as presented and authorize the Vice President of Education to make any technical corrections necessary before submitting to the Board of Regents.
All right, I request a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Supervisor McConaughey, seconded by Supervisor Beltran.
All right, any questions? About these 14 pages, no, it's wonderful. Any opposition? All right, motion carries. Chair Hardy, I will conclude my report.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. This time, Supervisor Price, are you prepared to present the personnel action item for consideration by the board?
I will do the very best I can.
Or, you can handle.
Chair of the Personnel Committee, I move to suspend the rules allowing personnel item J17 to be considered for action rather than for, human advisement. Are there any objections? Well, it's not everybody's wrong.
Before the objection, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I think the only thing that's different is that the separation of employee students. Someone answer that?
So yes, so the state of Louisiana about 2 years ago added, in addition to what the feds have for ADA. So we had to go through every college and the board office and establish our policies, and those policies require to have an ADA coordinator and some training. We've gotten all of that done. This is a cleanup of the system-wide policy to match the state policy and to remove students from that section.
So it's separate. Like the simple.
Students have their own policy already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just needed to know that before.
Yeah.
I checked it.
So are there any objections? Hearing none, I think we will move forward with the academic item J7. I'm sorry, the personnel item J17. Which is also. I'm sorry.
We have not.
I don't think. Oh, okay, okay.
So the item consider the revisions to LCTCS policies 6.023, Americans with Disabilities Act, and 480.
So as I stated before, the state of Louisiana added some additional parts. It's more about process than actually changing the rights of the employees to ensure that we actually serve the employees well. So we have managed to get all the colleges done. We've managed to do the board office individual one, but this is an overarching one. And it's more generalized and just making sure that everyone does have a standard policy and then it's up to date. And we do review it every year. So if you want to read the recommendation, means that the board accept for approval the attached revisions to LCTCS policy 6.023, Americans with Disabilities Act for employees and students.
Y'all heard the recommendation, is there any discussion? I'm sorry, any motion? Any discussion?
We need a motion.
Motion by Supervisor Mount, seconded by Supervisor Butler.
Discussion. Opposition. Carried. Okay, the next item is number 18, review and advise vision to LCTCS policy 6.028, holidays for all employees.
So this policy, we had to make a change in the statement. The state law requires that we have 14 paid holidays for all of our employees, right? So that's across the board. But because you guys are our board of supervisors, every appointing authority, every chancellor and president can choose the 14. So we established that. Well, what was happening was, back when you were reading it, thinking that if they worked for 9 months, that they could get additional days because they weren't employed during Memorial Day and Fourth of July. They wanted to stack those 2 days within the 9 months. So we clarified that in the policy to explain that it has to be holidays that fall within their contracts. So that is the only change to the policy. Ready? Make the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board approve LCTCS.
Except for review and advisement.
Oh, I thought we had done both of them. Oh, yeah, there's just a good advisement. Okay. Staff recommends that the board accept for review and advisement the attached revision to LCTCS policy 6.028, holidays for all employees.
Just point, Chair Hardy. Just request motion to enter executive session, discuss items J, A, J.
Ms. Poole, I request a roll call vote.
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to do so. Chair Hardy?
Yes.
Yes. Supervisor Smith?
Yes.
Yes. Supervisor Belcher McIntyre?
Yes.
Yes. Supervisor Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Supervisor Hollins?
Yes.
Supervisor Lee?
Yes.
Supervisor McConduit?
Yes.
Supervisor Moody?
Yes.
Supervisor Mount?
Yes.
Supervisor Price? Supervisor Belcher?
Yes.
Yes, we have 100% yes.
Thank you. And where do we?
Upstairs.
Yes.
You got enough food?
Yes.
And you're doing extra date.
All right. To call the order, at this time, I ask that we have a roll call vote to reestablish the quorum.
Yes, sir, would be happy to do so. Chair Hardy
Here.
is present, Supervisor Smith
Here.
is present, Supervisor Butler McIntyre
I'm here.
is present, Supervisor Hogan
Here.
is present, Supervisor Collins
Here.
is present, Supervisor Lee. Present. Is present, Supervisor McConaughey. Here. Is present, Supervisor Moody.
Here.
Is present, Supervisor Mount.
Here.
Is present, Supervisor Price.
Here.
Is present, Supervisor Beltran. Here. Is present, and Chair Hardy, we do have a reestablished forum.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fuller. This time, so I reconvene the meeting and said that no votes were taken and no consensus was reached during the executive session. Supervisor Price, I think you're still in charge.
Not really, but I'll give you my best.
And you are.
Item 19 is pending the potential litigation and settlement authority. Was anything?
Discussed, potential, pending litigation and, we're able to, just provide an update to the board, so there's no action required there.
Thanks, sir. Next item on, number 20, appointment of chancellor for Central Louisiana Technical Community College.
All right, they read the recommendation. Staff recommends to the board. Staff recommends that the board appoint Dr. Heather Poole as Chancellor of Central Louisiana Technical Community College with an employment contract effective January 5th, 2026 through December 31st, 2028. Staff further recommends a fair and equitable chancellor package consisting of an annual base salary of $205,000, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and an employer-sponsored deferred compensation package of $20,000 for total compensation package of $260,000.
First recommendation. Is there a motion?
Requesting a motion by Supervisor Lee, seconded by Supervisor Beltran McIntyre.
We have a motion. Second, any more discussion? Any opposition? None, that motion carried.
Ask you to come forward and make some comments. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Supervisor, Chair Hardy, Supervisors, President, thank y'all so much. It is a true honor. And I'm honored to serve behind my current chancellor, my current chancellor, Jimmy Saltel. It truly is a great honor. When I left my small town in Vidalia to go to college, I went with full of tenacity and I just refused to give up. But I went for the wrong reasons. I went to a four-year institution unprepared. And I think about all those students that go to school unprepared and not ready, but they do give up and they leave with only debt and they're not prepared for the workforce. When I graduated, I decided I wanted to make higher ed better. And I went to the Board of Regents where I spent my first 15 years. It is there where in 1999, LCTCS was born. It is where admission standards were adopted, and I still strongly believe in them. And I am so eager to serve Central Louisiana, my hometown and my region, to grow a workforce and assist students for CLTCC. It is a great honor, and I'm humbled and looking forward to serve. Thank y'all so much.
Next item, number 21, is the performance evaluations of LCTCS chancellor.
Just, nothing more than an update was provided to, board members on the incredible performance of this group of chancellors. I wanna ask if we can, for those chancellors that are in the room today, just please stand up. This group of chancellors is the best in America. There's no question about it. The data proves it. The day-to-day work proves it. I am honored to stand alongside each one of them and deliver on this mission. Thank you for watching.
Okay, next item, the performance evaluation for the LCTCS system president. We discussed the evaluation in executive session. No action is required at this time. Next item, board self-evaluation, accordance with section 18 of the bylaws of Sunshine Standard 4.2B.
I'll take that one as, staff recommends the board acknowledge receipt and review of the attached summary of results of the Board of Supervisors 2025 board self-evaluation.
Have a recommendation.
I'll move that we accept the recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Supervisor Smith is first on motion, second by Supervisor Butler. Thank you.
More discussion, opposition, hearing none, carries. Chair Hardy, believe I can give it back to you. So,
Okay, thank you. Right. This time I reference the updates of the current board members with the information provided. Before I ask if there's any additional information coming before the board, I just like to give a shout out to Chancellor Sartell. I know we have a new leader that will be on board shortly, but how can I thank you for the job you have done, Chancellor Sartell? You know, anytime you're called upon, you're always there. Remember, it was yesterday what you did for our Chancellor Taylor during a real tough time, flooding, a disastrous situation. You showed your heart and soul. I mean, you brought tears to all of our eyes for what you did. So it's not only just you as an educator, it's you as a person. And lastly, I'd like to thank you for always playing before I walked up, playing Atomic Dog. So with that, is there any additional business to come before the board?
Chair, I have two very quick items I would like to mention. The first is, it's all about family. And, we did get an opportunity to acknowledge early in today's meeting, Supervisor Chad Moody's, he and his family, they got baby number 4 this week. Henning Lee, I like that. We just gotta make sure that he's an Ole Miss fan, not an LSU fan, right? And then the,
Tennessee.
the other one I can't help but mention, because some of the chancellors, when they win the bowling tournament, bring the trophy with them everywhere they go. Chancellor Smith, we just simply want to say congratulations to you and the Baton Rouge Community College team on winning the LCTCS bowling tournament, which has become almost like winning the lottery these days, right? So, congratulations to you and the team.
If this time I ask if there's been any public comments on behalf of LCTCS Facilities Corporation, River Parishes Community College, Duncanville Training Center.
No, sir, we have not received public comment. There is a presentation.
Please.
So it should be a pretty good meeting, this should be 3 minutes.
Should be pretty
I'm sorry,
Just to kind of set the stage, and I want to introduce Louis Saab. He is our project manager for CSRS on this project. One of the requirements the facility corporation has is prior to construction of any project over $50,000, we have a public hearing, talk about, open up for public comment. So this is satisfying that requirement of open meetings law, and gives Louis an opportunity to talk about the facility a little bit more in detail before.
Very good. All right, thanks for the introduction. We'll go to the next slide. Oh, never mind, I will go to the next slide. There it goes. All right, so this is the RPCC, construction, or I'm sorry, training facility in Donaldsonville. So we've been working with Chancellor Taylor on this facility, and again, this will highlight advanced manufacturing and steel production training in the Donaldsonville area, which also highlight the Hyundai plant that's coming as well. Again, Chancellor Taylor already talks about the available funds for the entire project, but we're looking at an AFC of about $21 million. This facility will be about 52,000 square feet. We're working with the designers right now, but, you know, they'll house this multi-purpose facility or auditorium on the south side, which will be broken up into about 3 smaller facilities. And then on the north side is the administrative suite, and then all the educational spaces will be in the back with the welding lab centered in the middle. There's opportunity for the campus to grow as well as other programs and capabilities come on board. So again, we're here to present the construction management at risk delivery method. It is different than design build or design bid build as well. And so with the beauty of this delivery method is that we work with a pre-construction manager with the designers. And so they work hand in hand to talk about framing types and other ways to save money and expedite the process. The goal is that the designer and that pre-construction manager work together for a guaranteed maximum price. If we agree on a guaranteed maximum price, then it goes straight into construction. If we can't come to those terms, then we quickly put that project out for bid and publicly bid the project like you would see any other construction project. You know, the advantage that we always recommend with this delivery method is the schedule. So there's an opportunity, if you look on the top of the traditional design bid build, you design, you have to hold the project for bidding, typically takes about 30 to 60 days, then the construction goes on, then we move in. With this delivery method on the lower part, we're able to we'll work on the design and the pricing all together, and then we're also able to submit some early packages as well, foundation, mechanical systems, electrical systems we've been seeing take about 24 months to mature. So again, we think there's a potential of about 20 to 30% savings on time. But again, we're working with Chancellor and LCTCS Facilities Board to monitor that process. But again, we're right at the end of schematic design right now. Working with Domain and DLR Group. It's a group that is based out of, they have a big group out of Colorado that work on a lot of workforce development. So it's been really fun to see some innovative solutions they've provided to the team, to our city. That's about it. And again, with approval, the next steps after this meeting and the other public comments, we'll start advertising for those services. Any questions, comments?
If there are no questions, Louis, thank you so much. I very much appreciate you. The one thing to keep in mind here, board members, is the presentation you heard earlier about mega site construction. We will be competing with those same projects as we're trying to build out this facility. Keep that in mind. So construction prices and the like, this is one we're gonna have to pay very close attention to, but we know we got the right folks on the job. Louis, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, this time I think I'll make the following announcements. That's appropriate. Board members who've not completed your related party letter from the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office, please do so as soon as possible. And please let Ms. Poole know that you have done so if you need her help. The annual mandatory LCTCS board training schedule for 2025 was sent out to all board members via email. Third set of trainings were due on September 12th. Please let Ms. Poole know again if you need further assistance. I know you hate this, but is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion by Supervisor Hall, second by Supervisor Moody.
Please stand adjourned.